I'm Randy Eastrom, Light Duty Fleet Fire Supervisor.
I'm Jason Marquez, Fire Apparatus Fleet Supervisor West.
I'm Sal Lopez, Fire Apparatus Fleet Supervisor East. And you're watching Report on Conditions.
On this episode, we'll take a look at a vehicle fire and a vegetation fire that occurred in Thermal. We'll also see a tour that Station 101 hosted for local students. Let's take a look.
Engine 1 with report on conditions.
Hi, I'm Tawny Castro. Thanks for joining us. We're starting this week's segment with a quick shout out to the City of Paris. This week's shout out goes to the City of Paris for hosting their annual Job Shadow Day. Local high school students got hands-on exposure to careers they're curious about. Our firefighters met with students, answered questions, and escorted them to Fire Station 101 for a tour of the apparatus and the station. A great day of learning, mentoring, and inspiring the next generation. It's time to take a look at the numbers. Let's look back at your fire department's call statistics from January 26th through February 8th. During that time, firefighters responded to a total of 8,330 calls for service, of which 6,480 were medical emergencies and 163 were fire-related calls. Let's dive into a few of those incidents. On Sunday, February 1st, multiple 911 calls were received regarding an RV on fire in the 33,800 block of Gloria Road in Menifee. The first arriving engine reported a full-size trailer that was fully involved in fire, with an exposure to a structure on one side. Firefighters were able to contain the fire to the trailer with minimal damage to the nearby structure in about 10 minutes. There were no injuries reported, and the American Red Cross was requested to assist one person who was displaced. On Sunday, February 1st, firefighters were dispatched to a reported high-angle rescue in the 1500 block of Elm Street in the city of Norco for a person who was stuck in a hoist lift approximately 20 feet in the air. Once firefighters arrived on scene, they determined that the party was stuck due to a dead battery in the vehicle, but thankfully uninjured. Firefighters on Truck 17 were able to extend the aerial ladder to reach the victim and safely bring him down to the ground after a few minutes. On Monday, February 2nd, 911 dispatchers received a report of a traffic collision on northbound Lambs Canyon Road near Dump Road, between the cities of San Jacinto and Beaumont. The first arriving engine company reported one vehicle fully involved in fire and requested one additional ambulance to respond. A total of 4 patients were treated on scene by paramedics and transported to local hospitals with minor to moderate injuries. The vehicle fire was quickly contained and stopped from spreading into the nearby vegetation. No additional vehicles were involved and there were no injuries to firefighters. The incident was turned over to California Highway Patrol for investigation. On Wednesday, February 4th, at around 1:30 a.m., firefighters responded to multiple reports of a fire at a storage facility at the 5900 block of Mission Boulevard in the community of Rubidoux. The first arriving engine reported a single-story self-storage facility with 8 units on fire and multiple additional units threatened. A second alarm was requested to respond, and the incident commander updated that 14 units were involved with fire. The fire burned for several hours and was contained at 6:21 a.m. There was one civilian that received medical attention for a minor injury and was transported to a local hospital for further treatment. In total, 15 units were destroyed and an additional 15 units were damaged due to smoke, water, and search operations. There were no injuries to firefighters reported. On Sunday, February 8th, at around 5 p.m., firefighters were dispatched to multiple reports of a vegetation fire near the intersection of Pierce Street and Avenue 72 in Thermal. The responding battalion chief reported a large column of smoke visible and requested 2 additional engines and a bulldozer to respond. The first arriving engine reported 2 to 3 acres burning at a moderate rate of spread in heavy fuels, as well as an additional fire south of the location. The engine company officer immediately requested 10 additional engines and 2 water tenders. The arriving battalion chief gave an updated report that there were 3 fires. One fire was 2 acres, and the other 2 were under an acre. Firefighters quickly contained the 2 smaller fires while the main fire had grown to 3 acres and heavy fuels. After about an hour, firefighters were able to stop the forward progression of the fire and begin working on heavy mop-up. Resources were on scene for several hours, and the fire was fully contained just before 8:30 p.m. to 3 acres. There were no injuries to civilians or firefighters reported.
On Thursday, February 5th, your firefighters from Station 17 in Glen Avon were recognized at Jurupa Valley City Hall for saving their fire captain's life. Specifically, on the morning of November 2nd, 2025, an ordinary day at Station 17 in Glen Avon, it became a powerful reminder of what it truly means to serve. While crews were performing routine yard maintenance,
Fire Captain Albano and Fire Apparatus Engineer Paramedic Joe Fajardo quickly recognized that Captain Riley required immediate medical attention. Engineer Paramedic Fajardo placed him on the engine's cardiac monitor, while the rest of the crew assisted with care. It became clear that Captain Riley was experiencing a critical cardiovascular event.
as battalion chiefs arrived, emergency transport was requested, and Captain Riley was rushed to Riverside Community Hospital with care continuing every step of the way.
The hospital staff was prepared for this arrival, and a cardiovascular team immediately took over care. Captain Riley was found to have 2 significant arterial blockages, and one was 90% and the other was 95%. Within less than an hour, stents were placed to restore blood flow. Captain Riley remained hospitalized for 3 days and was cleared to return to work just last week.
This moment stands as a testament to the professionalism, training, and unwavering commitment of these firefighters who didn't hesitate to act, even when the life they were saving was one of their own.
Did you know that cooking equipment is involved in roughly 150,000 home fires per year? And most of these fires are caused because people aren't paying attention or aren't aware of these home safety rules. Captain Cal, whenever you're cooking, you want to make sure that the pan is turned in or away from you so you can't accidentally knock it off the stove and the contents won't spill and burn you. The other thing you always want to remember is things that can catch on fire like oven mitts or plastic or paper towels. You want to keep far away from the stove. And make sure to have a child and pet-free zone 3 feet from the stove when a grown-up is cooking. So Captain Cal, do you know how to put out a grease fire on the stove? No, we never want to put water on a grease fire. Instead, you want to take a lid and put it on the pan so it's nice and tight. That smothers the fire and takes the oxygen away from the fire. You also want to make sure your stove is turned off, but you never want to put any water on your grease fire. Captain Cal, if there's ever a fire in the oven, what you want to do is close the oven right away, turn the oven off, and then unplug it if possible. And if you ever have a fire in the microwave, Captain Cal, what you want to do is close the door immediately, turn off the microwave, and unplug it if you can. If the fire starts to grow, it's time to get a fire extinguisher. Do you know if we have a fire extinguisher nearby, Captain Cal? Make sure to check the extinguisher is charged and use the pass method. P for pull out the pin, A for aim at the base of the fire, S for squeeze. Squeeze the trigger you just pulled the pin out of. Squeeze it slowly and evenly, and S for sweep. Sweep the extinguisher from side to side to cover all areas the fire may have spread to. And if the fire is too big and spreading too fast, let everyone at home know there is a fire, get outside, and call 911 immediately.
911, what's your emergency?
Good job, Cal. Following these steps will keep you and your family safe in the kitchen.
That's all for this week's Report on Conditions. Follow your firefighters in action on our social media at CAL FIRE RRU and stay up to date on incidents happening countywide. If you caught any great footage of our firefighters at work or out in the community, send them to us at rrupio@fire.ca.gov. On behalf of your Public Affairs and Community Education Bureau, I'm Tawny Castro. Thanks for watching.